congratulations and more questions. Down over.
Well, thank you very much, Niranjan. Viewers, last evening, you were essentially shown an so-called eyewitness. Remember that eyewitness happened to be someone who suddenly propped up almost 48 hours after the incident took place. And then there was multiple claims that were essentially made. The fact that Anjali was in an inebriated state, and there were several other claims that she essentially made. Republic TV in its investigation essentially found out that most part of the claims that were made by the eyewitness does not hold true. A key eyewitness, as suggested by Delhi police, came up 2 days after the horrific Delhi hit and run. Nidhi made some sensational claims, but our investigation found multiple discrepancies in her statement. In fact, we've got a series of CCTV footage which essentially goes on to indicate two things. One, that the Delhi police has completely botched up the entire investigation, right from the word go. The fact that these CCTV footages essentially show that the Baleno car, or rather the killer car, was actually being trailed by the PCR van for several minutes put together, but they did not arrest anyone till the time they reached a particular location. Not just that, Nidhi, the eyewitness propped up by the police, essentially made a stunning claim that Anjali was in an inebriated state. It turns out, at least in the post-mortem report, that it isn't true. There was no traces of alcohol found in Anjali's abdomen. Not only that, the family members have also made another claim that they do not know who exactly is Nidhi in the first place. And secondly, they've now raised this entire concern that if at all Nidhi happened to be Anjali's friend, then why exactly did she disappear for almost 48 hours? Take a look at this report and then we debate.
3 days since Anjali died, the most gruesome death, after being crushed and dragged by a vehicle for 13 kilometers, the fresh evidence that is emerging is raising more questions against the Delhi police probe. The biggest clincher is the CCTV footage. Watch this CCTV tape. The timestamp mentions from 1:58 AM, Anjali and Nidhi were seen riding on the scooty. Just 25 seconds later, the same CCTV camera has captured a grey Baleno car. This footage shows how a trail of blood is being left behind. And just 5 minutes later, a PCR van is seen on the same route, trailing the Baleno car in question. Another CCTV footage from the accident site in Krishna Vihar shows Nidhi walking by casually. These two videos from two different angles are believed to be just 4 minutes after the accident.
Exactly crossed this path, there was a trail of blood. And just we saw a beam of light. That means gypsy police PCR van, that gypsy stopped at a point where scooty got hit by Baleno, but they didn't act, they didn't stop, they didn't take the scooty with themselves. It was the timeline of 2 and 3. 2 o'clock, 3 minutes it was, and this is the very place where the scooty was hit. The contradiction is clearly could be seen in the statements of the police official. They didn't act. PCR was called by the eyewitnesses several times.
Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Joining us on the burning question tonight are Richa Pandey Mishra, spokesperson of the Delhi BJP, Aishwarya Mudgil, a lawyer, Manasvi Thapar, political activist, and Brinda Adige, an activist joining us on the burning question. Opening up the debate tonight, Brinda Adige and Richa Pandey Mishra. Brinda Adige, you've seen this entire expose. In fact, last evening there were several channels going completely gung-ho about getting what they called a key eyewitness. What no one really asked this question, that what was she doing for 48 hours put together? And suddenly she props up, and everyone, even news channels, were essentially trying to portray that, look here, we must go by the testimony put across by the eyewitness. And in fact, Brinda Adige, while you speak, I also going to put out the CCTV footage that we accessed long back. And we've been able to put together what really transpired. And if you take a look at the CCTV footage, multiple questions are being raised. One, the fact that this is a clear-cut case of the police botching it up, a PCR van tailing that Baleno car. And the fact that when Nidhi makes that stunning claim that Anjali was in an inebriated state, the question here is that if you were aware of it, why did you run away from the very spot? So two very aspects. While you speak, I'll put out the CCTV footage for everyone to watch.
We need to understand that this Nidhi was brought in by the police. The police that has been so lazy, so arrogant, shoddy, 14 kilometers, not a single beat police. The cameras that are there on the street, supposedly to be monitored at various police stations, not being monitored. Eyewitness that has told the two policemen on the two-wheeler that he has found something like this in a car and those guys just brushing him off, just goes to show that the entire Delhi police has been nothing but lazy, arrogant, and they have not been up to the job that they are supposed to be doing. And from your channel, of course, we also learned that the eyewitness that the police claim to be the, what is that, star witness, and for the case to bring new turns, just goes to show that her story has too many holes. What was she doing there? Why did she ride pillion if she said she fought? Why is she lying, saying that the victim was drunk? Why did she lie that she just went away and she walked all that 14 kilometers or whatever back to her home, that she was scared and she didn't call anybody for 48 hours? What was she scared about? But when your channel talked to her neighbor, the neighbor was very clear. She was neither sad, nervous or scared. She was not even upset. She just wanted the charger to charge her phone, as if going about her daily business. So there's something very, very fishy also about this so-called friend over there. And the police and the state must be held responsible. The state cannot absolve itself over here.
Well, in fact, Richa Pandey, I'm sure your party could perhaps make the demand that heads should be rolling in the Delhi police right now rather than actually going ahead and covering it up. Let's be very clear about the fact that the reason that the Delhi police finds itself in a very precarious situation is only because they've started with a lie, and to cover up one lie, they need to make another lie.
So good evening to all the fellow panelists and to all the viewers out here. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this such a grave issue today. This is a rarest of rare crime, and the LG of Delhi and the Home Ministry is tracking it on a real-time basis. I must put it across in the beginning very clearly that heads will roll. Those who are found guilty, those who are found lacking in responsibility and shrugging their responsibility will not be shared. They will not be spared. They should. Nobody is should be under any kind of a false illusion that anybody will be spared, and that the Home Ministry and LG has categorically said that they are taking the reports on hourly basis. And Delhi was jolted on the day of New Year. When we all woke up, we saw this horrendous crime was committed despite tight vigil. Delhi police had, I'm not defending Delhi police, but despite tight vigil,
To be more specific, Richa,
despite tight vigil, a human life was lost so
to be more
tragically.
specific,
16,000 policemen. 16,000 policemen were there, but such a lapse
No, not
happened.
16,000,
And
Richa.
I'm not shrugging responsibility.
Richa.
Neither should anybody shrug responsibility at this point
Richa,
of time.
just
I and my
small
party demand
correction.
justice for
A small correction.
this girl, and for we stand with her family.
So you may do that, but the fact of the matter is that, a bit more correction here, Richa. Delhi police made the claim that about 18,000 personnel were on the streets of the national capital on the intervening night of 31st and 1st of January. Take a look at some more facts. 5 PCR calls were essentially made. It took almost 15 hours for the Delhi police to file the FIR. The FIR that has been registered makes a mention of only one accused. I can go on and on about this, but we do not have that much of time. But Manasvi, the fact of the matter is that somewhere down the line there was an attempt to cover up. Let's make no bones about the fact that this was a clear-cut case where the Delhi police was essentially trying to brush this under the carpet.
Shravan, there is no doubt about this. And if we say that Delhi police was not covering it up, we are lying to our own selves. We are lying to the citizen of this nation. We think the citizens of this nation are fools. The reality is, under the nose of 18,000 policemen, this horrendous incident happened. Under the nose of those people who were attending the PCR, this incident happened. 5 calls were made and no action was done. The reality is, it took them around 15 to 20 hours to come out in open. The reality is, this is a cover-up operation, and for everything, what is the narrative being said? The Home Minister is looking into it. The LG is looking into it. The reality is, the police have failed. How many resignations and how many people who are guilty from the police department have been arrested? Do we even know the people who are guilty from the police department? Why this cover-up? Why is the police saving the police? On the contrary, the police should have been working for the citizens of this nation, and this is in the capital of our country. Shouldn't we be ashamed? Shouldn't we nail the guilty people? Shouldn't we name them? The point here is, shouldn't we name them? We are behind the curtains and saying that LG Saab dekh rahe, Home Minister Saab there. It is not their duty. It is the duty of the DSP. Where was he? What is he doing? Aren't we allowed? It is only the Republic media which is asking questions right now. Why this cover up?
In fact, it does not end there. Aishwarya Mudgal, you are a lawyer, and I want to ask you this question. If this kind of
step have happened, why can't we ask questions?
You know, in fact, let me just tell you, when the Eyewitness was being given that kind of a platform by some other network, and there was not even a single question that anyone wanted to ask about the fact that there was a fight between her and Anjali, the fact that she then travelled with her, and thereafter suddenly it disappeared. No one found that as a problem, or as there's some sort of a mystery. Aishwarya Mudgal, I want to ask you another question with regards to the sections that have essentially been invoked by the Delhi police. Prima facie, if you really look at what has really transpired, doesn't it purely come across as a case of murder? The fact of the matter is that 13 kilometers, a lady is basically being dragged in the scooter. Please tell me, how is it really possible, as a criminal lawyer also, how is it really possible that the accused had absolutely no idea of the fact that there was a scooty that was stuck below the car?
So at the outset, I observed that this incident was gruesome and is a chilling telltale sign of how inefficient our system is on multiple levels, right from policing of roads to road safety to investigation by law enforcement agencies. Even our society, for that matter, where a girl left her friend to die alone and refused to talk about it for 2 days. And even when she talks about it, her statements are not only inconsistent, but the tone is also downright pathetic. So I'll make 3 points which should hopefully answer your question. Firstly, we need to acknowledge that the manner in which the investigation has been conducted by the Delhi police so far has been erroneous and grossly inefficient. We cannot have the eyewitness come to the light and interrogated 2 days after the accident. We cannot have the eyewitness make remarks or reveal important facts related to the case to the media. Let us not forget how the murderers of Ayushi Talwar continue to remain unpunished because the Delhi police botched up the investigation. Secondly, why was there no police presence on streets of Delhi? Delhi is notorious for crimes against women as it is. Then in this case, we are talking about the night of 31st December, which we all know is a busy night. It is obvious that more and more people will be there on streets, and they will be on streets at odd hours. Unfortunately, a large number of people would also be drunk. Despite SOS calls made to Delhi police, it took police over an hour to come to the site. It should be noted with effect from 2021, the PCR staff has been integrated with local police, which was done with the intent to improve surveillance, but this incident seems to show quite the opposite. Lastly, I feel that there are lots of details and information that is yet to emerge, and this is the time to stand united against such crimes. Now is not the time to give dharnas or demand that LG is sacked or establish linkages between the accused and LG and BJP. Now is the time to be united against such a horrific crime, which could have happened to you, me, or anyone. Today, as an ordinary Indian, I just want justice for a fellow resident who is no longer between us and who met with such a gruesome death. To that extent, first of all, I hope all unnecessary politicization of the issue ends. This is not the time to blame anyone. Secondly, with regards to the sections that could have been invoked, yes, they should have been invoked. They should have invoked 304, which is culpable homicide not amounting to murder. They should have invoked that. That was prima facie. That should have been done. But all you add is negligent rash driving or 279 and 304A. That is where the police has gone wrong. And I am admitting that police has botched up not just the investigation, but also framing of issues. But as and when the charges are coming, there is also a special commissioner overlooking at it. I am hopeful that more and more sections will get invoked. However, having said that, why do we need a media brouhaha to have such an important investigation being led in such a manner, in such a shoddy manner? I wish it was done better, but before all the facts emerge, I will not blame any political party. I will not accuse Delhi police of cover-up, but I will say that the investigation has not been done in a satisfactory manner.
Okay, fair enough. I'm running short of time, but I just want to give 30 seconds to Brinda Adige to finish off the debate. Brinda Adige, a lot of questions essentially still being raised. Some are saying, and especially some within the police, snide comments are essentially being made about how the media is, as usual, carrying out a trial. You speak to any officers of the record, they'll all tell you, oh, look here, you're just carrying out a trial. The fact of the matter is that today the police still has the goal to say that, media is carrying out a trial when they should rather be very clear about the fact that their own men have actually failed. And that is the reason why we are raising this question. So one final word from you, Brinda Adige. Brinda Adige, you've muted your audio. Brinda Adige, you've muted your audio.
Yeah, sorry. So the Delhi police must hang its head in shame. The politicians ruling Delhi must hang their heads in shame, because if it wasn't for the media, none of this would have taken this serious turn, nor the Home Minister would have asked for a special investigation. It is because of the media. 1.34 billion Indians are happy today that we are discussing the safety of women and the shoddiness of police. We are discussing that women are not safe at all. And over here, this is no longer an accident like the press conference that the Delhi police had. It is a killing. It is a killing, brutal mutilation of this girl because Delhi police, shoddy job.
Well, thank you very much, Richa Pandey, Mishra, Aishwarya Mudgil, Manasvi Thapar and Brinda Adige for joining us on the second burning question. Getting in some more breaking news right now. This is a similar case that is being reported from Uttar Pradesh's Banda district. We're getting in more details right now. A university teacher was rammed and then dragged by a truck for about 3 kilometers. The truck caught on fire. A woman died is what we are picking up on your screens right now. Those are the latest images now coming in from Uttar Pradesh's Banda district. Fire brigade as well as policemen are at the spot. The truck driver, as we learn right now, is absconding. As of now, we are not very sure whether at all the UP police has already registered the case, but these are the latest images now that are coming in from the district of Banda in Uttar Pradesh, where a woman was dragged for almost 3 kilometers by a truck. Let's listen into some of the reactions that are coming in.
ना हो गई है, उसमें एक महिला की दर्दनाक मौत हुई है। क्या था पूरा मामला?
एक महिला जिनका नाम पुष्पा देवी है, ये किसी विश्वविद्यालय में नौकरी करती थी। इनको इनके पति की मृत्यु के उपरांत इंटर्नशिप में नौकरी मिली हुई थी। ये लखनऊ की रहने वाली हैं। आज ये आ रही थी, एक सूचना मिली कि डंपर से एक्सीडेंट हुआ है इनकी स्कूटी का। तत्काल स्थानीय पुलिस बल मौके पर सभी अधिकारी पहुँचे। आसपास की थानों की फोर्स बुला ली गई। फायर टेंडर की गाड़ी भी आ गई। पता चला कि इनकी गाड़ी इस डंपर में फंस गई थी, जिसके फ्रिक्शन के कारण आग लग गई थी और जिस कारण इनकी दर्दनाक मृत्यु हो गई है। पंचायतनामा पोस्टमार्टम की कार्रवाई कराई जा रही है। इसके अलावा अभियोग पंजीकृत करते हुए कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
सर, जानकारी हुई है कि काफ़ी दूर तक महिला को घसीटते हुए ट्रक ले गया है।
इस बात की जाँच की जा रही है। अभी ये कहना जल्दबाजी होगी कि एग्जैक्ट सीन ऑफ क्राइम क्या था।
पेट्रोल लेने जा रही थी।
पेट्रोल लेने कहाँ के रहने वाली है?
ये लखनऊ की रहने वाली है।
लखनऊ की रहने वाली है। क्या लग रहा है कि दब गई हो?
हाँ, एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, दब क्या गई है। स्कूटी से जाए हुई फंसी हुई है, जिसके अंदर स्कूटी लाश दोनों फंसी है।
अच्छा, क्या हुआ
कुछ
है?
लोगों का कहना है कि कई किलोमीटर तक जो है ये लाश को
वही तो बता रहा हूँ, बाईपास के सामने हुआ है ना, बाईपास से यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए रोड जाता है, उस पे हुआ, वहाँ से घसीट के यहाँ तक लाया है।
Well, let me also bring in my colleague Vivek, who's joining us on this broadcast. Vivek, आपके पास इस वक्त क्या जानकारी है, किस वक्त ये घटना हुई और इस वक्त ये क्या कहा जा रहा है, जो ट्रक ड्राइवर है, ट्रक ड्राइवर को लेकर क्या जानकारी है आपके पास?
देखिए, तकरीबन 1 घंटे पहले का ये वाकया है और जो महिला है वो कृषि विश्वविद्यालय में टीचर थी और उनके पति की मृत्यु के बाद उनको अपने पति की जगह पर नौकरी मिली थी और यूनिवर्सिटी से निकलने के बाद वो पेट्रोल लेने के लिए पेट्रोल पंप गई थी। पेट्रोल पंप से वो आगे फिर जब अपने घर की तरफ आगे बढ़ रही थी तभी ये कहा जा रहा है कि एक डंपर से उनकी गाड़ी का एक्सीडेंट हुआ है और उसी दौरान उनकी जो स्कूटी थी वो डंपर में फंस गई थी और थोड़ी दूर तक डंपर उनको खींचते हुए गया और इसी दरमियान डंपर में भी आग लग गई है। महिला की इस पूरी घटना में दर्दनाक मृत्यु हो गई है। हालांकि जो ट्रक ड्राइवर है वो फिलहाल फरार बताया जा रहा है। पुलिस इस पूरी विवेचना की, तो पुलिस इस पूरे प्रकरण में फिलहाल जांच कर रही है क्योंकि लोगों का ये कहना है कि महिला 2 से 3 किलोमीटर तक महिला को घसीटा गया। हालांकि पुलिस अभी इस बात को मानने से, पुलिस का कहना है कि पूरी तफ्तीश के बाद ये पूरी बात जो है आने वाले समय में पुलिस इसकी जांच के बाद चीजों को जो तथ्य है वो सामने रखेगी।
Thank you very much, Vivek, for getting us the latest details. A story that we'll keep a close watch on.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
Some more national news that we're tracking. Unidentified people attacked the priests gathered outside the ancestral home of former Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Kumar Deb in Udaipur in Tripura. The incident occurred at a time when a group of priests arrived at the former Chief Minister's residence. The mob attacked the priests and vandalized their vehicles. Stone pelting on the Vande Bharat Express for the second day in a row. BJP has raised questions as to why was no action taken after the first attack. However, the TMC has hit back, asking the BJP not to politicize the issue. Actor Gayatri Raghuram quits the Bharatiya Janata Party, calls the BJP party chief Annamalai a tactical liar, further adds that women are not safe in Tamil Nadu. On the third day of the Delhi hit-and-run probe, victim's friend Nidhi gives testimony before Delhi police, reveals the victim was in a drunken state and insisted on driving the two-wheeler. The National Executive of the BJP to meet for 2 days on January 16th and 17th, likely to endorse an extension in its national president JP Nadda's tenure, key organizational body to deliberate on strategy for upcoming state assembly polls and prepare for 2024 Lok Sabha elections as well. Telugu Desam Party President, former Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu denied public meetings, rallies and roadshows. Naidu, who was planning to tour Chittoor district from today, has been denied by the Palamaner police for the same. In a video shared by NFL Division, an RPF constable from Pune junction of Katihar Railway Division can be seen saving the life of a passenger. BJP Chief JP Nadda to be on a 2-day visit to pole-bound Karnataka on January 5th and 6th. Will also be visiting some key marts, including a prominent Veera Shaiva seminary of Siddhaganga. Early morning protests break out in Poonch, where anti-Pakistan slogans are raised and effigy is burnt by locals demanding another surgical strike on Pakistan. Former BCCI President Saurav Ganguly will be returning to the IPL as Director of Cricket with the Delhi Capitals in the upcoming edition. Sources close to the development reported. The former India captain who stepped down from the BCCI President's post in October will also oversee all the cricket verticals of the franchise, along with the IPL T20 team, Dubai and the SA T20 League side.
Air India acts after 39 days imposes flying ban on unruly passenger who urinated on 70-year-old. Blood trail, PCR van and Nidhi is run. CCTV tapes exposes the inconsistencies in hit-and-run case. Autopsy report and CCTV exposes Nidhi's claims. What is she trying to hide?